Here are 4 teams that can bust your bracket in this year's NCAA tournament. Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys, a place where we traditionally talk college football, but today giving you some free college basketball insights. We are just one day away from the round of 64 beginning in this year's NCAA tournament. And every single year, there's that 1 or 2 teams that go out and bust your bracket. Last year, it was St. Peter's. A few years ago, it was Loyola Chicago. A couple of years ago, it was Oral Roberts. Every year, there's 1 or 2 teams that goes out there and makes an unprecedented Sweet 16 or further type of run. And today, guys, we are giving you those 4 teams that we believe could make at least the Sweet 16 and maybe further in this year's tournament. So let's go ahead and dive on into it. Let's dive into these 4 teams. And there are obviously plenty of others that we are not going to be listing today, but these are 4 that we feel pretty confident about and ones that I personally have picked in my brackets that I've already done. So the first team we're going to talk about today is Arkansas, the Razorbacks. Now, you're thinking, how can an SEC team be that team? Well, let me ask you this. Did you think last year that North Carolina, an 8 seed, was going to make a run all the way to the national championship game? I don't think many of us did. Sweet 16, maybe. Elite 8, maybe. But I don't think many of us thought the Tar Heels, an 8 seed, would go all the way. Well, guess what? The Razorbacks are an 8 seed this year, and they had the talent to make a national championship type run. Now, you're thinking how? They were wildly disappointing this year. All that talent that Eric Musselman recruited, they didn't pan out. They didn't fall through. Arkansas is not that good. They still have that talent there. They still have a coach that has led the Razorbacks to back-to-back Elite Eights. Nick Smith Jr. is going to be an NBA lottery pick. He's starting to hit his stride. Ricky Council IV, he's a dunk machine. You don't want to see him on a fast break. Devo Davis, one of the best defenders in the entire SEC. This is a team that's a very good defensive team. Not the best offensive, but very good defensive. And if you look at their schedule, guys, they were very, very close to having a completely different year. 5 losses by just 3 points, including a 3-point loss to Creighton without Nick Smith, a 3-point loss at Baylor without Nick Smith, a 3-point loss at Alabama. They did have Nick Smith there. They blew that halftime lead, but nearly beat the Crimson Tide on their home court. They played Illinois in the round 1, the 8-9 matchup. Illinois is a relatively even team, I'd say, with Arkansas. If the Razorbacks can navigate that, I do believe they match up relatively well with Kansas. If the Razorbacks can take down Kansas, remember the Razorbacks last year did take down the number 1 overall seed in Gonzaga. If they can beat Kansas, all bets are off. They get to the Sweet 16, maybe play a team like UConn, who many have a projected Final Four run. They get past UConn, they're back in their 3rd straight Elite 8. We're not saying the Razorbacks are going to go win a national championship, but this is a team that very well could shock the nation again by at least getting to the Sweet 16 and taking down number 1 seed in the process. Another team to keep your eye on that could bust your brackets, another 8 seed, Memphis. The Tigers are dangerous. Tigers are extremely dangerous. They are a very, very good team. And yes, we know Florida Atlantic is also a very good team. That's who the Memphis Tigers play in that 8-9 matchup. But you look at Memphis, guys. The Tigers are 26-8. They won the American Athletic Conference. They had a great duo right there with Kendrick Davis averaging 22.1 points per game and DeAndre Williams averaging 17.8 points per game. Yes, we know Memphis has been a little bit inconsistent at time, but Coach Penny Hardaway has done a pretty good job transforming this team and getting them into tournament shape. And you look at their schedule, who they beat in the non-conference, something that I think people kind of forget. This is the team that still beat Vanderbilt, who nearly made the NCAA tournament. They beat Auburn, who's a 9 seed in the tournament. They only lost by 3 points at Alabama. This Memphis team nearly beat Alabama on the road. They did beat Texas A&M, who enters the tournament as a 7 seed and was the SEC runner-up. They lost at the buzzer at home against Houston, but then got the revenge over the Cougars in the American Championship game, beating them by 10. And yes, we know Marcus Sasser was out with an injury in that game, but still beating the number 1 team by 10 points, still pretty dang impressive. Look at Memphis, guys. Coach Hardaway, if he can get them past Florida Atlantic, they more than likely will take on Purdue, the 1 seed in that region. Purdue is maybe the weakest number 1 seed right now, and the guard play from Memphis could give the Boilermakers some trouble. Memphis gets past Purdue, and that's not entirely far-fetched. Who knows what could happen then? They would probably play Duke or Tennessee in the Sweet 16, possibly, depending on if there's an upset between those programs. But maybe Duke, maybe Tennessee, all bets are off in the Sweet 16. Would not surprise me to see the Tigers get there. Would not surprise me to see them go further. Do not sleep on them just because of the conference that they're from, because they've beat some quality opponents this year and proven they can hang with the best of them. All right, Now let's get into some mid-majors, right? Get into some of these smaller conferences. We mentioned one of these programs earlier. It's Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts, yes, they were the Cinderella team 2 years ago, making a run to the Sweet 16 where they fell to Arkansas in an absolute thriller. They were overlooked a few years ago as a 15 seed. They're not being overlooked this year as a 12 seed. This is a 30-win team that went undefeated in conference play and has one of the nation's best scorers in Max Abemus, who has 22.2 points per game. Not to mention they also have a tall, 7'3" guy in Connor Vanover, who's averaging 12.9 points per game, 3.3 blocks per game, and 7.2 rebounds per game, transferring in from Arkansas. The irony there is amazing. But Vanover, he's tall, a little bit lanky, but he is a paint defender. Not to mention he can actually shoot the three ball extremely well. They also have Isaac McBride, 11.9 points per game on the year. Oral Roberts averaging 84.2 points per game. This is a team that can hang. This is a team that knows how to score. This is a team that is not afraid of anybody. We've seen them make a run just a few years ago. Handful of players left over from that squad. They are poised to do it again. Now, they do face one of the hottest teams in college basketball right now in that 5-12 matchup. They're facing the Duke Blue Devils. But I would not be shocked to see Oral Roberts take down Duke. John Shire, first-year head coach with the Blue Devils. They're getting hot at the right time, but maybe Duke kind of overlooks Oral Roberts a little bit. If Oral Roberts beats Duke, they'll advance to the round of 32, where they'll face the winner of Tennessee or Louisiana. Another possible upset pick there. Louisiana upsets Tennessee. I have no doubt that Oral Roberts beats Louisiana. If Tennessee beats Louisiana, I still feel very confident that Oral Roberts could beat Tennessee. I'll tell you this. The winner of Oral Roberts and Duke, go ahead and make sure they make your Sweet 16. Because the winner of Tennessee and Louisiana isn't going to get there. And I believe that could be Oral Roberts that gets to the Sweet 16. And once you're there with this type of offense, all bets are off. Could be a team that goes to the Elite Eight and maybe further. And finally, the other team that everybody maybe knows about, but you need to be picking them, College of Charleston. A 31-win team, 31-3 on the year. This is a very balanced team. They know how to score, and they're pretty dang solid defensively as well. 80.8 points per game. That's what they're averaging. They're shooting over 33% from three-point range. Their starting five, every single player is averaging in the double digits. They have an intriguing first-round matchup, that 5-12 matchup against San Diego State. So you have a very strong offense in Charleston against a very strong defense at San Diego State. But we've seen San Diego State kind of falter in NCAA tournament play before. It would not shock me in the slightest bit to see Charleston get this win here. And if they do that, they'll advance into the round of 32, where they'll face either Virginia, another team just like San Diego State that doesn't know how to score very well but is very strong defensively. Charleston playing two teams like that back-to-back would benefit them. Or Furman, who maybe the first team to 100 wins the game, because Furman, the Paladins, know how to score just like Charleston. So this is a team, guys, as a 12 seed, very well could make the Sweet 16. Their run would probably stop then, as they'd most likely face Alabama. But this is a team that, 31 wins is extremely impressive. They're scoring at an alarming rate and has all the pieces necessary to make a little bit of a run. And for a school maybe most people hadn't really heard of, you might overlook them a little bit. They could bust your bracket, no doubt about it. So there are 4 teams, guys, that I legitimately feel could make at least a Sweet 16 run this year. And if you make a handful of brackets, make sure you have these guys making them a few times, because at least one of these guys will make the Sweet 16. I feel very confident about that. At least one of these 4 teams we mentioned will reach the Sweet 16. Of course, there will be tons of other upsets over the course of this NCAA tournament, because it is March. It is March Madness, baby, and we could not be more excited. We'll be back in a few weeks with our official Final Four predictions once the Final Four is set, to kind of get you through this NCAA tournament. But make your brackets, lock them in. Let's get ready for the madness. And then coming up, we'll resume our regularly scheduled college football programming. But we had to take a moment to talk about the tournament, which for me, outside of college football, it's the best time of the year. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below so you can become a part of our GE Nation and not miss out on any of our future content that we have here. Future content meaning 24/7, 365 college football content with the occasional college basketball content, but do not miss out on it. We want you to become a part of our team and what we're building here at the channel. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.